Athletic Net only goes to Trolling Runners only goes to 2001, so it's hard to get times before that. So obviously, if anyone has times, names from before then, it's a living document can be updated. So I have the school record, so any runner who's ran at Williamson, and then I also have course records for any runner who's ran on our course. We changed our course in 2019, so I was able to just pull up everyone who's run our course, top 10 finishers for boys and girls. And I worked with the lettering labs, they made the boards, and then I worked with Mr. Cocoy in the tech room, and we did acrylic panels with vinyl backing to it, so that way they can have the names, and I matched them all.
So for my NHS project this year, I did jar wars, and I was raising money for the Neuroendocrine Tumor Research Foundation, which means a lot to me because I lost a family friend to neuroendocrine tumors. So the way it works is each grade level had a jar and so did the staff, and all silver points were positive points and pennies were negative. So you would sabotage each group to see who had most points at the end. And then one day I did like if you put $1 in, it's minus 100 points, and it was really successful. And I don't know, I would do it again if I could. I thought it was really good.
Honor Society have to do individual service plans, ISPs. And so we just had such a nice creative range of options this year that we have a few others to highlight as well. Go ahead. You can see here actually these are the boards that just went up today that you really worked with.
Teachers and one student to get ice water.
So Moses is currently doing his project, so can't wait to see Mr. Cray get ice water dumped on him as well as the others, including a student who volunteered. I think he was just chosen. But Moses chose this because when he was little, he went to this daycare, so the funds will go back to it.
And we're from my NHS project, which is that was research run led by me. We had spent the entire month of March working on the project all together for a performance. $180 for one farm. The opportunity to get into the school in a way that we haven't done before.
So Marissa's project was just a full night of like skits, and she wrote everything. Her friends participated in it. They had refreshments, they had ticket sales. So there's a lot that goes into it. And the students all choose, if they're raising funds for something, they get to choose what's important to them. I had a funny exchange with Marissa, so it's definitely rated PG-13. High school, she's a senior. So I said, how PG-13 is this going to be? And she said, it won't be terrible. And I said, well, I just don't want the media calling. And she said, unless it's really good. And I kind of stared at her, and she stared at me, and then we just went on our way. So she did fantastic. Very well done there. And then go ahead, Grace.
My name is Anna Gunner, and for the NHS project, I created a cornhole tournament that was open to everyone. It just costed $30 a team, and we raised $2,100 for Balsanos Children's Hospital, which was really special to me because I'm already a pediatrician, so that's why I chose it. And we had a great turnout, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So they will actually be coming next week to Forum to receive a giant check from Hannah. And then we have, I think, one more.
My name is Brooke, and I did my NHS project, and I did it for Destiny Rescue, which is to prevent children from being exploited. Which is very important because it was something that my church had worked a lot with in the past, and I wanted to give back to them. And just kind of know about what it costs, and I did this through a balloon challenge. And I ended up being a lot of fun. We got $145 for this Destiny Rescue. And overall, basically, we had to keep the balloon off the ground. We had some sabotages, some advantages that kids could buy. A lot of staff participated. So it was a lot of fun.
So the students really got to choose, where their level of impact went. If it was something for the school. school, for the community, for a larger organization that they felt really strongly about. So it's just a really, really nice creative showcase of different options. So they are deserving of being highlighted. And thank you to Kate and Julia for coming tonight.
Yeah, just wonderful. Kate, you never told us how much your jar was.
Oh, we raised almost $200.
That's
Just
awesome.
off like just coins, which is really awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, reports to the board. Reports from district administrators.
Okay, so we'll start with Ms. Gatsby.
Playground, it's the greatest highlight. Today was the opening ceremony of the dedication of our playground. I'm so excited. It was a wonderful day. Thank you for all your support, especially Jeff and Patrick and Mary Grace. It was just the highlight, one of the highlights of my career. I'm good now. And then I just want to quickly highlight Katie Quinless, our art teacher, doing so much work getting everything in the building ready for Festival of Arts, which happens next Tuesday and Thursday evening, followed by Grandparents' Day on Friday. The artwork is magnificent. If you have a chance, please tour the building. It's like a little mini museum. You've done a great job.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor?
Good evening, everyone. I have lots of highlights. First of all, I'd also like to highlight, the playground. Thank you so much. Our middle schoolers, I think sometimes they're too cool. They're not. They were so excited to play. And, it's a big hit. And I had kids like, why don't we play on it now at any time, like after school? Yep. So I just want to say they were very, very excited. I'd like to highlight just our music department. For our fifth and sixth grade concert, there were many of warm reception and people were very impressed. We had some community members who said they went to Greece and they were far more impressed with Williamson. So I'll let you know that. And also a brief highlight to both Judy Fula and Jennifer Steven. They both work in the middle school, but they straddle that high school world, getting some students prepared for regencies. So they're fully immersed. As some of our staff are starting to wind down, they are like completely finished. So I highlight Judy and Janice as well.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Avery. I'll be brief since we did have a highlight and I will hear about it if I'm not brief. So I just want to thank our music department as well. We also had a concert last weekend. Not last weekend, it was Thursday, which was the weekend. It was fantastic. I also want to thank our office staff we have a lot of things happening right now in the high school. Field testing, Regents Key came in for exams next week. We have awards coming out. We have Breakfast Champions on Friday. We have Seniors and Seniors Breakfast next Friday. So they are just really cranking out a ton of work, and I want to acknowledge them, as well as thank Mike for getting all of the testing schedule up and running. A lot going on. Okay, this is Liverpool.
Good evening. I have two very quick updates for you. So one is that our PE and health program evaluation team and our math program evaluation teams are wrapping up their full review. It's been a really great process. It's our second cycle through. So we learned a little bit from the first one and made some tweaks. The final report and recommendations will be available for your review and your approval next month. So just so you know that those are coming, but I just want to give a shout out to all of the instructional staff who were involved in that process. It really is a time-consuming process to do it well, and they showed up every day that we had session and worked really hard to make sure that we were continuing to enhance our instructional program. And then my second highlight, so we have been celebrating the last night, and we have some celebrations that are going to occur in a couple of minutes, but I do want to take a minute and just celebrate Mary Grace, because 2 weeks ago, on the 9th, we were able to go and celebrate her accomplishments as an educational leader. So she received a service award through the Genesee Valley chapter of New York State, the ASCD. And it was just a really great night. And again, I think just speaks to all of everything that you've done for our district and how you continue to just work even outside of your scope of what you do as a superintendent to provide additional opportunities for kids in our community. So just another really great celebration.
Thank you. All right, you got it. Mr. Sutton?
I just want to say thank you to Tina Van Strien and our food service staff for hosting the desserts and everything, and our reception for our tenured people and our retirees. It's a special event. We celebrate it.
It was lovely. So, thank you. Very brief for me, it has been bucket filling day for sure. Like from the playground, grand openings, which it was hysterical. They were doing a countdown, like to get to 10, and the kids couldn't make it. At 5, they just broke through the charge and just swarmed the playground. So for anybody who was there, it was just joyful. It was just so joyful. I actually tried out the zip line myself yesterday, and although I'm not graceful, I found it to be fun. And I wanted to thank our community for supporting our project, which is why we get to do things like new playgrounds and new kitchens, and that's really important. And I wanted to thank our community also for supporting our budget vote. It keeps us going strong, and it's greatly appreciated and not taken for granted. So this is the time of celebrations in the school district, and I know it's busy, and I know we're running from bell to bell, and there's so many evening events, and everybody is feeling tapped out. It's the end of the year, but I just want to remind everybody, and maybe I'm feeling this because I'm retiring, but it's just wonderful to take a deep breath, sit back, and just see the accomplishments that have occurred, how kids have grown over the course of the year, how they've thrived, how they've achieved, how they've struggled but overcome, how things look wonderful, how everybody has chipped in to do what they needed to do to get us to this point in such great shape. So I just want to remind everybody to just be in the space to enjoy it, even though it feels overwhelming and like we're just busy rushing to the end of the year. And I want to just thank everybody for all that you do for the children of Williamson. I'm very grateful. That's it for me.
Thank you. District committee reports. We had a curriculum council meeting last week. Yeah, okay. And then wellness committee meeting was last week. Nothing to report back. Okay. District events. Solo Fest was May 11th. End of the 35-week working period, May 17th. Annual budget vote and Board of Education election, May 21st. I'd like to echo MG sentiments to the community. Thank you for supporting all of our initiatives. Grades 5 and 6 spring concert was May 21st. The high school spring concert, May 23rd. Interns were available May 24th. The Memorial Day holiday, no school was the 24th and 27th. And then tonight was the really exciting 10-year and retirement reception. I love that every year. 4 county school boards associations, I have nothing to report. PTSA.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go through my notes real quick. Happening continuously for the next, I guess, week or two is the hospitality for the different school concerts. That's been going really well the last couple of weeks, and it's been absolutely awesome to be out in the hallway, get to hear our students perform. Last weekend, we had a tent at the Apple Blossom Festival to help bring awareness to PTSA, and we also do it collecting donations to specifically go towards Teacher Appreciation Week. Tomorrow we have our last roller skating party in the middle school for the 5th and 6th graders. So I'll bring my own bucket for the ice tomorrow. Coming up in June, at our June meeting, we will have our elections for our chairpersons going into the 24-25 year. We have nominations for all of the seats currently, and we expect them to all be fully filled without a problem. One thing that we appreciate from the board and all of the district administrators is getting additional support from both the schools, teachers, and parents in PTSA. Even right now, we only have a couple of active teachers on the PTSA, and it's really good, having them, I mean, it's just for their own direct feedback of being involved in the school, so it's always really good to hear that. So, please want to join next year, I'd love to have you. And that's it for us. So,
It's a lot, though. Thank you so much for all you have done as a PTSA.
Okay, tenure appointments. I need a motion to approve the tenure appointment of Chrissy Baglio, elementary school teacher, effective 8/31/24.
so moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Of course, we have discussion.
Chrissy, why don't you come on over to me? Over here. This is Christy Baglio. Christy is getting tenure tonight after 3 years in Williamson, as she was previously tenured in another district. Christy has been in Williamson for the past 3 years. Her first year was in 4th grade, and the past 2 years are in 3rd grade. Christy previously taught in Georgia, the Rochester City School District, and Gates Chatham before coming to Williamson. She's been on many district committees, including our math program review and our district assessment committee. And she's also taken on a lot of extracurricular activities, including coaching an Odyssey and Line team this year. And she was also the comic book club advisor last year, which was a huge success. Christy has strong instructional practices and works very hard to meet the needs of her students. And it is my pleasure to recommend Christy on tenure and congratulate her. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I need a motion to approve the tenure appointment of Stephanie Pignato, elementary school teacher, effective 8/31/24.
So moved. Second.
Stephanie, behind you, come on down. Stephanie is also getting tenure tonight after 3 years in Williamson, because she too was tenured previously before here. When Stephanie joined us in Williamson, she joined the 3rd grade team, which she's been for all 3 years. Stephanie has 18 years experience teaching in many places, including North Carolina, Churchville Charlotte, and most recently Penn Yan. For the past 3 years that she's taught 3rd grade in Williamson, she's taught our integrated class. She's a great team player and has worked really well with our special ed students and that staff. Stephanie has participated in many professional development opportunities, including different book studies. She's a strong learner. Stephanie also has very strong instructional practices, and her classroom environment is a very warm learning environment for all of our students. Again, congratulations to Stephanie. I'm happy to pleased to recommend her for tenure. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, I need a motion to approve the tenure appointment again of Lauren Scalia. So moved.
Second. This has to be a record.
Can I overload? As Jamie just mentioned, Lauren has previously been tenured here in Williamson for elementary education. Tonight she's getting her tenure in literacy. Lauren taught in Lyons previously before coming to Williamson, her hometown of Williamson, where she lives with her family. Currently, Lauren is an AIS teacher and works with all of our students, K-4. She also wears many hats in the building, including our ELA standards leader. She's an instructional coach, a mentor, etc. She's also a member of our building planning team, the district assessment committee, and our district buildings and grounds committee, which is a great committee, right, Jeff? She's also very active in our extracurricular activities, as you noticed today, with many students running in our bus loop. She is obviously a mind coach. She runs our fitness and run club. She's an advisor for ski club and also works with Dollars for Scholars. Lauren is very hardworking, dedicated, and extremely student focused. I'm very pleased to recommend Lauren for yet another tenure. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote passes 5. All right, I need a motion to approve the tenure appointment of Thomas Saxby.
Second.
I just talk about TJ tonight.
special education self-contained classes. In 2019, TJ transitioned to the role of teaching assistant, again, to support our special education students. This school year, TJ has taken on the role, I call it kind of the lead contact on our pause team at the elementary school, and has really just excelled in that position. Everyone loves that TJ can find the humor in any situation, no matter what it is, and that he can build wonderful relationships with all the students. In the past, TJ has been a Marauder Care teacher. He's done extended school years as a TA. So we're really honored to recommend TJ tonight for tenure.
All in favor?
Passes 5-0.
All right, I need a motion to approve the tenure appointment of Ashley O'Reilly.
Second.
Good evening, everybody. It is my great pleasure to recommend Ashley O'Reilly for tenure. If you know anything about Ashley's start in Williamson, I should have known she was a keeper right from the get-go. In the spring of 2020, do any of you recall the spring of 2020? We had an abrupt staffing change and we hired Ashley. Her start date was March 11th, 2020. March 12th was a Thursday, and the last day we had students in person for the remainder of the year. She met them for 2 days. But when we went remote, Ashley was able to maintain and establish connections with those students across the screen for the whole rest of the year. She did not miss a beat, and families were thrilled. When we returned, and until this year, Ashley was part of our 5th grade team. She taught reading, English, and social studies. During those years, Ashley developed a passion for social studies, as you said. And last year, when the position became available, she asked if she could move to 6th grade and teach social studies. It was both an easy and obvious transition. Our 6th grade team has grown stronger and closer with Ashley's presence. During her time at Williamson, Ashley has made a strong contribution to our Williamson community. She has helped create new opportunities for our students. She advised robotics club her first year. She is the co-advisor of the yearbook. She coordinated a spelling bee this year, organized a field trip last year to the Rochester Broadway Theater League, in which some of our students saw professional play for the very first time. As an educational leader, Ashley has participated in ELA program evaluation. She's a member of our middle school BPT, an innovator in project-based learning, and a member of our Supernova team and a standards leader. She has become an integral part of our staff, and it is my great honor to recommend her for tenure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Congratulations to all of our tenure recipients. Congratulations. All right, I need a motion to approve the CSE case summaries as presented.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, quarterly achievement reports.
All right, so I will take you through the data that we have. I'll highlight some things, and then if you have questions, you can certainly ask them. So just something to highlight here for our high school, looking at grades 11 and 12, from last quarter to this quarter, both of these grade levels have increased their achievement levels. 12th grade increased it, I would say, at a significant amount. So just 2 things to celebrate in terms of the rigor within those grade levels and how our students are performing. For middle school, go to the next slide. Oh. Well, I'll talk about middle school achievement. So there we go. So middle school achievement, we did see some slight decreases, especially in regards to grade 6 and grade 7, but Kate and Brian are on that. They're having conversations at the tier 2 level, but also seeing our 5th grade holding steady, which is a celebration due to the fact that it is a transitional year. And when we think about 3rd quarter, we really see that as kind of like a more rigorous quarter out of all 4 of them. Moving on to achievement over time. For the high school, again, really like looking at the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade cohorts from 3rd marking period over the years. Those cohorts have all demonstrated growth over time, which is really great to see. And when you look at our middle school achievement over time, our 8th grade cohort has demonstrated growth. So some really great things to highlight there. Looking at below proficiency, we know that we always have work to do, and we will continue to have those professional and instructional conversations to target specific students who are not performing well, or also when we see like specific cohort data that we know we need to zone in on, we will continue to do that. So, you know, we have some celebrations. 10th grade, we saw a decrease in their achievement or overall proficiency level, so that's something to celebrate. And then looking at middle school below proficiency, we know that we have a couple of grade levels that we need to continue to work with. Again, looking at proficiency over time, so you know, specifically looking at 5th and 9th, and you'll see 5th on the next slide, but as you know, those are significant transition years, and I know the buildings are having conversations about how we can continue to support students as they're transitioning from building to building. We're actually having 8th to 9th grade meetings with teachers this year and 4th to 5th grade meetings, because we've gotten some feedback from our teachers in those grade levels that they need more contact time with each other to be able to know maybe what gaps kids are coming to the next grade level with, or specific skills that as a grade level students struggled with, just so that we can try to close as many of those gaps as possible during those transition years. And then a really nice thing to highlight is that our 11th and 12th grade over time, we're seeing that proficiency continues to decrease when you look at those specific cohorts.
Rachel, why do you think at grade 9, and Kate also, like, why is such an increase in proficiency?
So we've spent a lot of time going over some very specific student data. If you can get out of grade 9, you're fine. Like, we spend almost no time talking at tier 2 about 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, because they're generally doing okay. But we have a concerning number of kids who should not be in grade 9 and still are, and have what seems to be not a huge level of urgency about getting out of grade 9.
So you mean coming in from 8th, or they've been there more?
They're 10th and 11th graders.
Both. I would say the numbers that are concerning are the kids that should not be freshmen, who maybe have moved ahead in other classes, but are in our Regents level classes are not moving forward. So we are, we've had some very specific conversations and plans in some content areas that I'm hoping will change things for next year. Some different, I don't want to say staffing arrangements, but some different scheduling.
Has there been a staffing? I mean, we've doubled, right, from 2020, 2021 to this year?
2021, I would say, is a relatively good year for most people because we were cohorted then.
Right.
Yeah, it was in the hybrid model. So generally our failure levels were pretty low because we had class sizes of like 8 everywhere. But we had a number of students that have moved into the district that had not been receiving an education. And we've had a couple of students that, where we're concerned, aren't looking to move out of 9th grade. So those are, you know, certainly specific situations. I'm fairly confident next year will be different. But it is a concern at the high school as well. It's not something we're gonna resolve with a conversation.
So if you're, how many classes do you have to be in ninth grade and 10th grade to be considered a ninth grade?
5 credits.
Okay.
You have to have 5 credits to move up, to sit with the sophomores in a forum, to be able to, so we have a lot of students that maybe are repeating a class, but are 10th graders, you know.
There's a Regis level class, so they fall into the.
Right, so those are harder to get out of, because they have a different level of expectation, understandably. But I will have some different, arrangements for. What was that?
I apologize, that was my phone. I was trying to hide here in the corner and that didn't work out very well.
We'll have we'll be making some changes both programmatically and in terms of how we staff certain sections, and I think that will make a big impact.
The other thing is they are doing that transition work, and I do think that that is significant, that transition from middle school to high school and the level of expectation and independence that's required. And so I think we'll continue to work on that. They started and tried the freshman study hall this year to help with some of that organization and skill level work. I think that needs to be tweaked but as any good new idea does, right? Continue with what's working and work to make it better. And also, we are just as a society seeing a decrease in a hopeful and optimistic view of the future. And I would say that we have some kids who are in no hurry to move on because they feel safe. We have kids who come to school just to be at school, but they're not striving or achieving. But, so that's a whole different kind of problem that we have to solve, and I think that's what Kate is referencing, is how do we help those kids find and latch onto something that's worthwhile to them to strive for?
I think there are really 2 things that, and I'll say this at freshman orientation, that parents can do to really help, that I think are also impactful, in addition to the work that the high school, needs to continue to do, and is regular attendance and talk openly with your children about what your expectations are. So when I was a kid, it was non-negotiable. If someone said, "What do your parents expect of you?" I could have said it right away. I would probably roll my eyes while I did it, but I knew exactly what was expected of me. And I'd say some of our young people don't have that same sense of hope. And the more we can have those conversations about the future orientation that families expect, that we expect, I think that also puts kids on a path to knowing where they're headed. Mike did a lot of work over the summer to invite some students and families in to have planning meetings for how can we turn this year around. So it's continued work, it's not easy work.
No.
How many, I don't mean to interrupt, out of curiosity, of the families that you invited, how many of them would actually show up?
So I invited 5, 2 showed up, and it might have been a work issue because I wanted to meet both with a parent or parents and the student, and it was in the middle of the day. So those who could make it, who weren't working, came by, had some really good conversations, because it was just non-threatening, we had lunch.
Sure.
We just talked about stuff.
Can we move that, to be later in the day, to try and hit more people for this?
It's possible, but we have a list from middle school now, 8th graders, to do a preemptive invitation to come by, see the school, meet Kate and I, and again, talk with them, how's your 8th grade, here's what we expect in 9th grade, what are you interested in, that sort of thing.
And some of it is developmental. I was a middle school teacher. I knew I would tell my kids for 3 years, if you don't pass this, you will take it again in the high school. And they would go, oh, okay. And then, you'd have one kid not pass it, and they, I didn't take it. I know, I told you, I drew charts. We spent time in class talking about it. So I think sometimes they turn, as a statement Brian Whedon said, that the 9th graders turn, like they become high schoolers. And so some of that's developmental as well.
Well, I think, I know we harp on COVID and the COVID era, but I think that they did a real disservice to our students and the way that they interact with their families in regards to school, because it almost had this more optional feel to it, because there were some choices and it was just out of necessity. And I think that I feel when I talk to families and, other parents that seems to be lingering a little bit, which maybe is driving some of this.
And that's where the attendance issues come from,
Exactly.
for sure, and that's across the world, that we're seeing.
Yeah, right, like
Yeah,
that's
that's just not here, that's, right.
Yeah, but you're right, it was kind of like, school,
It was no longer like the number one priority, like being with your family, make sure your family was safe and healthy, kind of became that. Which led to like more time away and more family stuff, which
And
is.
it's the pace at which life is happening, it's like, I'm a parent, it's overwhelming. Like there are emails from the school and I go, oh, I'll read it later, so it's not hard for that to be one more thing.
Right, it used to be the only thing, and it's not anymore, so that's something that as time goes on is gonna get harder, I think, and that's something for this group to.
Do you think, like, I'm a big believer in getting people in here also, because I think you can make that bond a little bit easier. The ones who can't get in here, was there like a Zoom type option? It's not the same, I get that.
It is lunch, there could be a Zoom option,
Yeah.
it was the first year doing it.
Yep.
And I said, well, we got these 5 kids who are floundering.
Right.
And I want it to be more face to face.
No, I agree with
But
you,
a Zoom
get more of an
thing,
impact
it
that way,
could
yeah.
be 2.
Yeah.
But I think the face to face, especially for the 8th graders, come in, see the school, let's walk around. That sort of thing. We try to do it as far in advance as possible so that a parent could do it on their lunch break.
Sure.
And I had one come in, and say I have lunch from 11 to 12.
Right.
Great, come in at 11, whatever works.
Mike also took students over to the tech center, usually we go to visit in 10th grade, but we had some students that went over to visit as 9th graders to see, just if we could hook them a little earlier to show them like, these choices now will get you to be able to do these things later.
And to Kate's point, I just had a conversation with one young man who had some issues last year and has really turned around quite a lot. And I asked him why, and he just said, well, I suddenly realized basically what everybody was saying was true. But it took him a year and a half to go, oh, you're not lying to me, this is actually important.
Well, because,
And he turned around.
for 3 years of their lives, it wasn't, right, like, you didn't have to perform in the same way, the expectations were down here. And that's hard to come back from, and that's, look at even, professionals that were in a total work from home environment that are now expected to come back hybrid or full-time. And that's really changed, for employers as well, and how do we retain staff that are willing to come into the office every day. So if adults aren't willing to go to work, I understand it's hard to get kids to come to school in the same fashion, but.
And it's also hard if the parents have to go to work, then who's making sure kids get up and who's making sure that they make it to school? There's just, it's hard to be a person in the world, I guess, is my statement.
One of the things that the 10th graders said this year, and some more last year than this year, was about 10th period and going into, and there were so many kids in there that they didn't feel like they were getting helped. So that was one of the things I thought. So is 10th period being utilized by?
I think there is an expectation from some students that they get one-on-one individual tutoring during 10th period, and that is not what it's designed for. We could walk around 10th period and you could see, like, there are definitely rooms where kids are ready to get help, but I think if they have to wait more than a minute or two to get an answer answered, then they're like, no one can help me. So I think there's just a level of expectation that perhaps isn't real.
You can thank Amazon for that.
Right?
You can thank the phone for that.
That's good to know.
Yeah, they want things right now. Yep. And because that is the norm.
They don't know what it's like to wait for the mail to come.
Or a TV show to be on.
Sorry, Rachel.
No, you're okay.
No.
This is great conversation. So the next slide just will show you the middle school non-proficient overtime. Nothing really new to highlight there, things we've already talked about. And then the last 2 slides are going to show you below proficiency by course. So as Kate previously has mentioned, looking specifically at our 9th grade cohort, we are having those conversations and making some of those decisions for how we can better improve student outcomes for next year. And then moving to middle school below proficiency by course. again, we do see, some increases in non-proficiency for certain grade levels and content areas, and so, you know, I think one of the things that we started this year, but is going to be a major focus area for us as an administrative team next year, is to make sure that we are engaging people in a regular professional dialogue about instruction. You know, I think we do that, but I think it needs to be in a more formal, structured setting so that we are all continuing to own the data and look at it from a different perspective in order to move the work forward. So we've started those conversations, you know, in different places where they've needed to begin, but we'll certainly continue that.
At the high school, with the 50% of our kids not being proficient in algebra, is algebra, can you refresh your memory, is that where we're switching to a 2-year
Yes, yep.
curriculum next year?
It's a 1.5.
1.5, yeah.
So and it will be, so if you're in extended, for next year, which is something we used to do years ago, then those students that are recommended, either by Jody or Ginny, will be in the same section, and then they will have the same lab, as opposed to being mixed with all of the algebra students that might have a math lab. And that will be credit bearing. And actually, Mr. Comstock will be taking that section next year.
Different. Interesting, I'm interested to see how that number moves.
Yeah, I think programmatically, those are some good changes. We're condensing and shifting a couple other like sections of things amongst the department, so I think it'll be good professionally for them and good for kids.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions? Thank you very much. All right, instructional and SEL coaching at Williamson.
So I'm gonna present again, but this time I get to present with a team. I don't know if you guys want to stand up or not, like, you can't? Yes, stand up, let's do it. We have some of our coaches here with us tonight to help present. I'll introduce the whole team, just so that you know everybody, but you can go ahead, Gracie. So, instructional coaching isn't necessarily new at Williamson, but it isn't something that we have formally done in the past few years. And this year, we were able to bring it back as part of some grant funding that we received through our title grants. We were very fortunate. We have a great group of people who were volunteered to take on this leadership role and went through some extensive training. And I think most of them have also volunteered to continue next year, which is awesome. But really knowing that this was something that we were bringing back after some time, we spent time as a team really thinking about what our goals would be for this year. And so these were really our two major goals: to make sure that our staff were provided with non-evaluative support to enhance instructional practices, and support that wasn't intimidating, didn't make them feel like they were on the spot, was peer-to-peer. So really making sure that they felt as supported as possible to take new risks. And then also, obviously, to enhance student achievement through the implementation of research-based practices. And really, the foundation of that is building the culture for it. Because I think sometimes, especially if you feel like maybe you're not doing as good of a job as you could, or you're not as comfortable taking a risk, you tend to maybe close your door and just kind of be isolated and do your own thing. And really having this team who is bubbly and cheerful and, you know, passionate about the work, I think really helps to kind of open those doors to that level of support that some of our teachers, all of our teachers actually need. Everybody can use coaching at one point or another. Some of their responsibilities, obviously one is really to foster that culture for coaching. We figured if we could start there and get those doors opened, then as we continue to be able to offer this service to our teachers, we would be able to just continue to build upon those layers. So they're really supporting the implementation of our district initiatives. They're supporting cross-collaboration amongst teachers. Some of them are co-teachers themselves, so being able to push in and offer like that different perspective is really important. Being able to share new ideas, and then all of them provided building level professional development to teachers over the course of the year. They also participated in professional learning themselves. So BOCES offers a pretty intensive training. It's a 5-session training over the course of the year for any staff members who are going to be in the position of being a coach. So we went to that as a team, which was really fantastic. They completed learning walks 2 times this year, and in both learning walks, they were able to hit every single classroom. And we used the personalized learning walkthrough tool that we had created years ago. We have updated it on what we were focusing on this year. So we were able to collect data, and then they used that data to be able to drive some of their building level professional learning. And some of them are also members of the Supernova team, which is also really exciting. So we have that loop closed. So I'm gonna turn it over to them, but I first want to just introduce everybody who's here, but also other members of our team who couldn't make it today. So with us, we have Nancy Miller, who is an instructional coach at the middle school. We have Lauren Scalini, who is an instructional coach at the elementary school, Mary Lyons, who is an instructional coach at the elementary school, and Erica Davis, who is one of our SEL coaches at the high school. We also have Christy Bills, who is an SEL coach at the middle school, Julie DeLizer, who partners with Nancy at the middle school as an instructional coach. Who am I missing? Rebecca Denny. Rhonda Tucciarello, who is SEL at the elementary school. Rebecca helps out instructionally, and then Mark Blair, who is also an instructional coach. So a great team. So I'm going to turn it over to them and let them share with you the highlights from their year, and I'll kind of fill in where people couldn't make it. Oh, this is Rhonda's. I'm filling in right now. So at the elementary school with SEL, Rhonda has been in this position for a number of years, specifically focusing on mindfulness. So she started off her year partnering with Carrie Petrie, who was able to kind of provide just SEL resources as a whole to the staff. So they did check-ins with teachers at grade level meetings, which was really nice because, you know, the whole purpose of coaching is to provide staff with resources to support kids, but our staff also needs support at different times too, and they were able to provide that. She was able to hold restorative group circles with teachers if there was any kind of student conflict. So again, kind of being that model for how at the tier 1 level, our teachers can help support that conflict resolution. They set up, what's that little room? Is it the copy room, mail room?
Mail room.
They set up like a little SEL resource center for teachers, which I just thought was fantastic, and they had a bulletin board, and all of that tied right back to our Pride philosophy. And then they certainly had an open door available for staff to come into the mindfulness room whenever needed, to bring their kids in. So I think Rhonda just did a fantastic job continuing in her role.
So this year, part of my work that I thought was very important was an emphasis on Tier 1 ELA. So as you've noticed probably during our tenure, we have a lot of teachers who aren't new teachers in our building, but maybe are new to Williamson or new to a grade level. So there's been a lot of changes since COVID. So we took this opportunity to kind of take a look at the Tier 1 in ELA and focus on the classroom instruction, assessment, and then how we were keeping that data. So this year we worked on consistency and rigor within the Tier 1 at a grade level team, and then also vertically. And we addressed the needs of students that were having challenges within the Tier 1 curriculum. Something we looked at was our K-4 assessment, and I met with teachers one-on-one who needed refreshers on how to give the assessments or how to score them, or just an open door policy for them if they wanted to come in and learn and practice or score it together. So we had a chance to do that. And then for data tracking, Karen and I, after some classroom or school visits last year, we had put some ideas together, and Karen and I worked on creating a building-wide tracking tool for each individual classroom that has different tabs for each of the assessments. So that way, if our MTSS team needs that data immediately, it's right there. If we're at different meetings, it's just available for us to easily see. And then we also revised the vertical tracking sheets that follow the children from kindergarten, UPK up through 4th grade to kind of align with more of our new practices and assessments. So those are some of the things that we've been working on in the ELA curriculum.
And this one is mine. I guess I was tired when I did this slide, but I'm gonna start from the bottom and go up instead of the other way around. I don't know why. So basically, like she talked about our training with Jessica Sheridan at BOCES, one of the things that she set up for us is the last hour or hour and a half of every time that we met, she gave us time to work on something called our passion project. So my passion project, which the coaching led into, was kindergarten readiness. And we have a great program, Collaborative Classroom, that the kindergartners usually start about mid-year. So there's set 1, set 2, and it goes up through 15, which they should get through by, the end of 4th grade. So what we were finding was that the kindergartners, you've got this pocket in each class who just weren't ready to start the sets. So what do you do with them? And what I know as, a literacy teacher is that those are the students who need that extra practice. They need that, that extra practice with letters, letter sounds, everything. So what I did is I came up with a 10-week intervention for those students that teachers could use, the kindergarten teachers could use, to get them ready to start the sets. So I came up with a scope and sequence for them. So it would review those letters, a couple new letters every week, and then they build on it as the weeks moved on. I focused on those shared words that they learn before they get into the sets, and then those beginning set words. So they're being introduced to those even before they start the sets. I also came up with a lesson plan for the teachers to follow. So for those kids who weren't in the sets yet, they would do, various things that would get them ready to start reading, like learning to sound out words, practicing writing their letters, which is, I don't think people really realize how important that is and how hard it is for a lot of the kids. And then I came up with like a progress monitoring sheet. So every 2 weeks, the teachers can progress monitor, see how far the kids have gone, what they still need, what they're holding on to for their letters and their words. And then things to think about when the 10 weeks is up. Are these kids ready, or do we need to implement another intervention? So this wasn't like a coaching cycle, like I wasn't going into classrooms and helping with them with that. But if they wanted help, I would help them. But it was pretty straightforward, so nobody has asked for help. But I am gonna check back in with them at the end of the year to see how the kids have done with it. They're doing their kindergarten testing right now. Is this something they wanna continue next year? Does it need to be more intense, that kind of thing. And that leads to what we did in the spring. I found a book last year called 7 Mighty Moves. And my part, as one of the instructional coaches at the elementary school, like Becca does math and technology, I handle like the foundational reading skills. So this book was written by Lindsay Kemeny, and she's actually still in the classroom, which is hard to believe, because most people, they write books and then they're not in the classroom anymore. So the reason I picked this, it's very teacher-friendly, reader-friendly. You could read something out of this and go back and implement it immediately. So what she does is, there's 7 moves, so there's 7 chapters, and I'll just read a couple of the moves. Move 1 is teach phonemic awareness with intention. Move 2 is teach phonics explicitly and systematically. So she gives in each chapter a nice background information about each of those things. And then she has, at the end, strategies for success. So they're actual things that teachers can use and go back and implement them. And this book is great because it also has like QR codes. So if somebody's not really sure after they read the strategy, they can go in and they can actually go and see a video of how that strategy should be implemented. And the way I set up the book study, so the first week they read the chapter, we talked about it. So when they go into the second week, they have to implement something from that first chapter. And they do a reflection, they have a journal, they do a reflection on what they learned and what they tried and how they felt about it, what they learned. And then the second one, we would talk about that for half of it, and then we talk about the next move, And then they would go out and try the next move, do that, come back, and then we do the same thing. So next week we're on move 6, I think, so we've got 6 and 7. And we're going from there, and everybody seems to really enjoy it. They feel like it's something that pertains to them. So we had about 25 participants, which was really great, yeah.
Thank you.
So at the middle school, we have community forum times on Wednesday where the kids go to the auditorium and they do all their tier 1 kind of fun stuff. And we were able to do monthly professional development sessions with staff who chose to come. And we really ran it as like a roundtable discussion, so it wasn't a sit and get type of thing. We gave them some resources, we gave them a topic, and then we really sat at a table and talked. What is going well, what's not going well, what strategies are we using? Oftentimes, because we're such a small district, there's only one of us doing each thing. And we don't get to be in each other's classrooms as often. So this really allowed us to talk about our practices and what we're doing and really get ideas from each other. And coaches learn things, our colleagues learn things, and we would come back the next month and talk about what worked, what still wasn't working, and it was really nice and we got a lot of great feedback from that. So much so that our CSEA staff reached out and our aides and monitors wanted to participate. So the last 2 months, we did 2 sessions with them. They came up with topics they wanted to talk about, and then we sat at the table and kind of went through, we gave them resources, and then we talked about what was going on in their environments and how we could do, what we could do to support them. And that was well received as well. The next one. We also did one-to-one conferences. So we started, there's 3 of us, and we started as I was doing math and science, Julie was doing ELA and social studies, and Christy was doing SEL, but we really kind of morphed into one cohesive team. And as a team, we reached out to each colleague that we work with. Either is it someone I push in with as a co-teacher? Is it someone that we're on the same team with? And we tried to sit down one-to-one with as many people as we could, just to have relaxed conversations, what's going on, and coming up with realistic solutions together to battle the same problems that we're all having. And we hit quite a few people. We hope to hit more next year. Once they see that we've talked and helped other people, we hope more people will jump on board.
So at the high school, Mark, in his role as instructional coach, has really also been working to foster that culture of having that open door and having those professional conversations. He's done a lot with the high school staff around AI. He's done a lot with Mike on AI. And coming to terms with how AI can really help to support us professionally. He's also been working a lot on creating rigor in the classroom. So last year as an instructional team, we talked about how do we increase rigor? What does rigor look like? And he has really taken that and really translated that to the high school culture and what that looks like in each of the classrooms. And then part of the high school BPT plan is to talk specifically about how we give feedback to students. So he was a really great asset in that work as well, providing some professional development around what is feedback, how do we give it, and how do we help students actually use the feedback that we're giving them effectively. I can't really see all of that, but he just overall, in my follow-up conversations with Mark, he's done a lot of helping provide one-on-one support with teachers, providing some reflection and guiding questions to help them think about their instructional craft. He's provided whole group, building level PD, and he also has helped to provide some district level PD as well. So if you can make out some of the other things that he's done, you can read that. But overall, I think his services have also, just like everybody else has said, have been well received.
Hi, everybody. Okay, hi, I'm Erica. It's nice to be here in a different capacity. It feels weird. It feels weird to be on this side. I apologize for the light slide. I was I forgot to send it to Rachel and Kelly, and I was running to the concert, and Rachel emailed me. I'm like, oh yes, of course. I threw it together really quickly. We did a lot of great things, and I just have something I want to show all of you. And it looks a little concerning, but it's not. It's really optimistic. So I'm just going to pass this out. It's just some examples of student work, but I do want to share it with you and show you sort of what I'm doing with that at the high school. So we have done lots of fun stuff at the high school. We did an SEL Santa, which is kind of like pick a student and shower them with love and not gifts and all kinds of stuff like that. We've done some, silly snack basket-y kind of things. We've done some, get teachers and students doing arts and crafts kind of stuff together, which has been really, really fun. But the real thing that I wanted to focus on with this position was I'm really into, because of teaching theater, connecting with our emotions and digging into what makes us tick and why. So that just connects so closely to SEL for me that I decided to test drive some of this stuff with my performing arts class. And of course, with their permission and with all their, and if there's there's a few other over here. So this was just a little journaling activity that I did with the kids based on when do we feel balanced, when do we feel stressed, how do we deal with our problems and all this kind. So this is an acting class. We're getting ready to jump into working on monologue. And the reason that I started doing this work with the kids was because I wanted to see how well they could articulate their feelings on really, really heavy stuff. This was in probably October, November. They are outstanding. They are so good. They are so eager. They are ready to talk. They are ready to deal with their traumas. They are ready to figure out why they're procrastinating on certain assignments because there's something else that happened along the way. They are so ready, and I'm so excited for next year when we roll out the SEL standards, and this becomes like a real thing, and the rubber hits the road, and all teachers start implementing real connection into their teaching. And there is not one topic, whether you're teaching something about rocks or teaching something about math. Everything connects back to the teacher can make a connection with any kid on any topic. So I took some opportunities this year to develop a whole bunch of lessons. So I've got a stack in my room of file folders, they're this tall, it's all colorful and it's fun. And I developed a whole bunch of lessons that focused on students, not only focusing on the content, I focused it on the Wizard of Oz. It was a 5-series writing activity. We watched the movie, we sang the songs, we talked about it, yada yada. So with each activity, students had to complete the work, but then turn it around and how would they be a part of the story? How would they be connected to a character? How would they be internalizing those emotions and dealing with those things and processing them? And they were like faucets. As soon as we started, they just went and went and went. Kids that never would tell me 2 things or write 2 sentences, pages, middle schoolers, pages and pages. Who they would play, why they would play. I would play that character because I felt scared like that character felt scared in that scene. And they connected to where did that come from? How did that happen? And then they're finding out all this amazing stuff about and seeing so much growth and seeing wonderful things with the high schoolers and some of the middle schoolers that I've done some of these activities with, done some of these lessons with, and where it helps them as far as their connection and comfort to the teacher, connection and comfort to their classmates, and where it sort of takes the class. So I just wanted to share some of the stuff that, like I said, I've been sort of test driving throughout the year and keeping data and keeping examples so that when we start to get more teachers on board with this next year and we start incorporating these standards into all of our curriculum, we have examples of things that work. We have examples of this student did this, it worked, trust me. At least we have something in district with our kids so that if there is pushback, because there always is with a new program, if there are people that are not wanting to jump in to connect with their emotional needs in the classroom, there will be that. They're already, that's what happens, that's normal. We already are starting to work with our students. If our students are already doing it, teachers will have no choice but to meet our kids where they are. So that's kind of what I spent some serious time digging into this year. Would love to talk to anybody about anything. If you ever just want to have coffee or shoot me an email. I found some fascinating things. And I think we're in a really good place. I know our kids are. They really are. They struggle, but they're starting to identify where they struggle, why they struggle, what's going on. And as they do that, those freshmen are going to want to get out of 9th grade. We're going to start to see a lot more progress all around in the district. I see it with the teachers, I see it with the kids. We've got some gaps to close, we've got some stuff to really implement next year, but I think we're in really good shape.
Thank you. So what's next for us as a team? Like I said, we are planning to continue. This is something that we are committed to. We've seen a level of success and we want to continue to build on that. So continue to foster that culture of learning. Next year, we really want to dabble a little bit more in formal coaching cycles with staff. So we're really going to start specifically with our new teachers. They don't really have choice. We are going to engage them in coaching cycles 2 times a year just to make sure that they're getting the support that they need early on. We are also implementing something new this year that we haven't even really talked too much about with our coaches. but it's something called a demonstration classroom. And so really what that means is that our coaches have an open door classroom. So if we have somebody who comes to us and says, I really want more support with classroom management, we can talk to our coach and say, what time works best for you? They wanna come in, they wanna see your classroom management in action. So that's really all it is. They're basically already doing that now with as many times as we do learning walks in their classrooms. But it just puts that in a more formalized setting. And then we'll continue to develop and lead professional learning, both at the building level, at the district level, and one-to-one as requested. That might be it. Any questions that you have for us?
Go first. I kind of like both the quarterly achievement report and then this SEL. They both go hand in hand in the sense that what are we gonna do for our fifth graders and our sixth graders by having our teachers in both buildings talk to each other? What are we having in each grade level where our teachers collaborate with each other and to move it all together for the best interest of the child? But also the passion of the teacher. What is that particular passion that teacher has that they can spill into the classroom? And the student sees that. They know what is passion of that teacher when they want to learn that. So I like how it all kinds of meshes together.
I was just gonna comment about, I think any coaching program, I'm a big fan of. I think everybody could use a coach. And I'm just curious to know if you thought about any kind of coaching at the admin level as well. I know when I was at Newark, each of us had our own coach, and it was one of the best experiences as a leader to have somebody who's been doing it longer and give you just different perspective. I don't know if you thought about that.
I haven't, but I think that's a fabulous idea. I think.
Do that?
We know someone who'll be free.
I know.
In all seriousness, our new administrators have mentors that they work with, but they're internal. I also meet with our APs and principals regularly, but we do not have a formalized outside coaching program, and I know for our administrators, and I know some districts do. It's something we've talked about, but it would have a budgetary impact.
Of course.
So we've set it aside for now in favor of doing things for students. But I do think it's important, and if there is a grant or something that we can find that can support that work, I think it would be wonderful.
Yeah, I know ours was partially grant funded through U of R.
Yep.
So I don't know if they still have anything like that, but that would, it does help the student, it is about the students too, right? To provide a better experience for the buildings and ultimately for the students.
It all trickles down.
It trickles down, exactly, yeah, I highly recommend, if we can find a way to do it, we do, so I think that is very valuable.
And I think overall it just continues to send a message that we're all learners.
Well, that's what it is, right? Like, you know, I can remember when we first started, a couple of our administrators pushed back and said, like, we're in this role because we're good, like, why do we need help? And I think, somebody said to us, Steve Newby maybe said, like, Derek Jeter has a coach, right? So like, if the greatest of the greats have coaches, like, you guys could benefit from coaching as well, and it was just a good perspective.
Oh, and it just reminds me of, I don't know, it's a year and a half ago or so, where we thought about what can we do on that Wednesday, so a teacher can have that passion project, and then this is kind of, we're getting there.
Yeah, a little bit. Baby steps.
Baby
But I do believe, like, we all have to be lifelong learners. We have to be modeling that for our students and for each other. And that's a recommendation well taken.
Even internally, like, I love how you had the ability to have, like, the CSEA say, hey, like, we want some help also, and get together. I think even internally, you know, as a mission, I know you guys get together cafeterias all the time, you work together, but, yeah, I think.
Yep, for sure.
And the last thing that I'll say before we move on is, what I have learned this year, going through the series at BOCES, is that it really does take a special person to be in the position of a coach, because you really do have to be compassionate, passionate, and you really also have to be a learner yourself. And I can speak confidently to say that every single one of our team members who are in the role as coaches serve in all of those capacities. So thank you for all of the work that you've done in helping to foster the culture this year, and thanks for putting in for next year.
Yay!
Is it 5 year commitment for all that?
Yeah, 10 years, yeah.
Thank you, everyone. All right. I need a motion to approve consent agenda items 6B through 6D as recommended by the superintendent. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. We have no old business, so we'll jump right into new business. Need a motion to approve a transportation request from Scarlet Thread Industries for the use of our transportation on June 14th, 2024. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
We do this every year, it's very common, we appreciate the support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the discard list of books from the Williamson Elementary School. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes 5-0. I need a motion to approve the high school travel club trip to Costa Rica during February break, 2026.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Can I go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Awesome. I need a motion to accept the donation of a 6-foot by 5-foot storage shed for the Woods Development Committee from an anonymous donor.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Thank you for the anonymous donor.
Yeah, thank you.
Is this gonna be put in the woods? We know.
No, there's a big red shed out there, and it's full. And so it's going to be attached to the back of that. But so they can keep the tools that they use to keep the trails clean, handy.
Very nice. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. We're getting a shed.
Yay!
Budget transfers. Jeff, anything good for us here?
Informational only, you'll see, more as we start to wrap up here and, clean up the books,
Thank you for keeping the books clean.
do our best.
Good. All right, some upcoming district committee meetings. We have a safety committee meeting, tomorrow, 3:30 in the middle school cafeteria. Technology committee meeting, June 4th at 7 a.m. Assessment committee, June 6th at 3:30. Upcoming district events, Breakfast of Champions, Friday morning at 7:30. Elementary Festival of the Arts for grades 1 and 2, K1 and 2, June 4th at 5:30. Athletic Awards Night, June 5th, 6 p.m. Elementary Festival of the Arts for grades 3 and 4 will be June 6th at 5:30. Grade 7 and 8 Spring Concert, June 6th at 7 p.m. That'll be live streamed?
Yeah.
Thank you. I won't be here.
Everything will be live.
Thanks, Francis.
Well, the Festival of the Arts is on the same night as the 7th and 8th grade concert, so I think the 7th and 8th grade concert will take precedence on that night, so just so people know.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Grandparents' Day, June 7th. Awesome day. I'm glad that we still have that tradition here. Learning and Wellness Fair is on June 8th, middle school. Junior Awards Night, June 11th at 6 p.m. Senior Awards Night, June 11th at 7 p.m. And Audit Committee meeting, June 12th at 6 p.m. for us. All right, closing items. Any Board of Ed highlights?
Well, Kate Taylor already said it, but I got a phone call from a former colleague of mine Monday, raving about our 5th and 6th grade concert and how we do such a better job than a school like recently. So kudos to our music department, because she had been to see family members in both districts and could not believe how much better our students perform. She commented about how she could tell that we put in the practice and the work and the fact that the kids are dressed and look
like they're performing versus everybody just, you know, in a t-shirt and whatever. So I thought it was pretty awesome that someone who doesn't even have kids in this district took the time to reach out to say what a great job our students are doing and our staff with that program. She is an alumni though, so. She was pretty
biased. Alright, any other Board of Ed highlights?
The playground again was just amazing today, and seeing all the kids, how excited they were to, you know.
Even the
I wasn't sure
even the
how I
middle
was gonna get
school.
off.
Yeah, I didn't think it was the cards for you and you're gonna be stuck on there all day.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
I was not ready to get off.
Any other highlights? Alright, moving into public comment. The Williamson Central School District Board of Ed invites public comment at this time on matters on the agenda at this meeting. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes or less. The Board of Ed has allotted 10 minutes total for public comment prior to the adjournment of the meeting. Written remarks may be provided to the board if time expires before a speaker completes their remarks. We ask individuals to state their name and the specific agenda item they wish to address prior to comments and to provide the district clerk with their contact information for purposes of follow-up. Although the board will not respond directly to individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response, action, or follow-up with the speaker. Issues related to specific district students or employees, whether positive or negative or neutral, must be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately in order to safeguard privacy. The board reserves the right to terminate a speaker's comments if their comments are in excess of 2 minutes, are repetitive, or are not appropriate for discussion in an open public forum. All visitors are reminded to abide by the district code of conduct and to be respectful and courteous, both as speakers and as audience members. We're a community focused on bettering public education for our students, some of whom may be present. Thank you. All right, anticipated executive session? Nope. All right, then I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. All right.
Thanks, everybody.